to a Talk IT tutorial. So this is going to be lab number 6 of the simple Java game. So lab number 6 is going to be adding functionality to the server. So looking at the server, we're going to be creating a player effectively. To do this, we're going to create an interface. We're going to call this player listener. It's going to define everything that a player needs to do, and it will allow us to extend to create AIs and monsters or whatever you want. So let's create the player listener interface at the moment. What we're going to do is put that in dod.game. Just have a look quickly. Yep, player listener should go in dod.game. New. Whoops. Interface. Player listener. Awesome. Finish that. Then hook all of that inside, like so. Control Shift F, Control Save. So then we're going to create a class that implements this. We're going to call that player guide. That's going to sit inside of DOD, and it's going to be an abstract class. So DOD new class abstract player guide. Finish. And that's going to implement player listener like so. Going to need to import that, and then we're going to add a few variables that are all quite simple. So game, client server controller, we need to import game logic here. Run method and output, they're going to be handled using client thread. So we're going to override everything that is set about in player listener. Save. So you've got again send message, chat message, change, enter and win, things that you'd expect a player to be able to do. But then we also want to extend that functionality specifically for the player. So what we're going to be doing is adding the add game and user connection gone. So under here, Control Shift F, save that. So we've got add game, die and player left that we need to add to our client server controller. So we're going to do that. Client server controller here. Save that. It won't know what a player is just yet. Adding a few methods inside game logic there. So game.getPlayer thread map is going to return a player. We don't know what that is yet, so we're just going to leave it. So then we're also going to be creating a method to deal with input. This is called process command. Effectively, it's going to take that in and split it up. So something like move north, you're going to have command and argument. So it's going to be move, and then we're going to have n as the argument that goes with that. So go to player guide, add that. So we have two things there. We have process command and argument and command exception. Just going to create a class for this. As you can see, extends exception. Add the constructor for this, which just calls super and just passes the message along, and add in a generated serial ID. Okay, save that. So now we need to do a few little things. So in player guide, we need to be able to set the client server controller and set the game that we can actually get from client thread, which is the thing that's going to be using this, because that's effectively the player. So still in player guide here. Just drop both those in so we can set those. And then in player, in a client thread, we call super, set those, and we extends player guide here. So it's gonna be like, whoa, that's not right. Extends player guide and implements runnable. So now that's all happy, which is brilliant. So now this is done, we need to deal with input from the user, see the code file, downloadable solution for a full implementation. So this is process, command and argument now. So taking that. So going to player guide, so process, command and argument, and it's absolutely riddled with errors now. So we have things such as sanitizedmessage, so we're going to create a method for that, client hello, create a method for that. Actually, instead of going through all of this, I'm going to speed it up a little bit, because I think you understand the idea of how adding the methods works. So output success, just going to do that. Get direction actually uses something that we're going to build in a second. Go into here, so none of I'm doing that. Quicken things up and actually copy in all of the methods that we know we're going to be using, and then I can just run through all of those for you. Client server controller. So we've got anything that references player we can't currently use yet, but we've got die, player left, which you've seen. So client hello, we're just going to add that to game logic. Client pickup, add that. Client move. We're just leaving everything that's a player for now, and we can come back to that at a later date. Player. Okay, so that's everything done that's not a player. Just save that. Save all. Okay, so back to player guide. As you can see, everything's all good except the get direction bits. So we have a private method here called get direction, and that uses something called compass direction, which is going to be an enumeration. So on compass direction, we're going to create that enumeration. And what it's going to be is a possibility of north, east, south or west, so as you'd expect with a compass direction. Save that. And then we have from string and from char here, which are two methods inside of that we're going to use. So toString will just print that string.value of this text, because obviously you've got to convert it from char. Make that neater. So from string, if it's null for an exception, if it's not equal to 1 for an exception, otherwise return from char that string at position 0. And effectively what it looks through is our values, and then it returns the text for that, so east whatever, or E in fact, and just finishing off our sanitize message and output success. So these are going to sit in player guide. So sanitize message, so it's made of two things. So it uses a regular expression that it sends in, so it sends in the string and the regular expression, so we don't want it to contain any of these things. So go through, and if it matches that regex, then add it in. So this returns obviously anything only the strings that we actually want once they've been sanitized. So we've done that, and then output access is just output message success. Save that. Okay, so yeah, that goes up to the player guide, which is what we want. And then the only things that's actually left effectively moaning about is the client server controller with effectively get player thread map, and then the fact that we don't have a player object yet. This is something that we will be building in later. It doesn't happen currently, just right now. So the goal was to add a bit of server functionality. Hopefully that's made sense by the use of creating these interfaces for a player, defining what type of messages we expect to receive or send out effectively. Game.addPlayer, so we're adding a player to the game. Game.die, telling the game that this player has to die. So if they quit, then that needs to happen. Process command and process command and argument. So when the server receives something such as move north, we want it to split those up, and we have the move command, and then with the argument of north, we created the command, the direction for that, and we've also created a command exception to deal with anything that comes specifically from that, where they may have entered something incorrectly. This shouldn't happen obviously when we move to GUI, because it would be a button and we can say, okay, this is what you have to send to the server, and so we can almost guarantee that that's going to be right. But for now we obviously put this in because it's actually the user typing in what they want to do. Effectively that's it for now. So the next one is going to be adding functionality to the client, as I was mentioning about this whole sort of mirroring. So we build the stuff for the server, and then we'll build it for the client. It's a little bit easier for the client because it's obviously less work to do because it's just sending a message. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed.